What's up, everyone? This is your host, Ghost, coming to you live with another wonderful video. How are you doing today? Sorry, I was getting things set up on my end. Oh, man. Oh, Lord. Sorry about earlier. I was going to do the show earlier this morning, but my wife, as many who have been watching, if anyone's who's been watching me knows, we have we have a newborn. The newborn kept my wife up for a while last night. So I canceled my show and did it later in the day, so I could watch the newborn and our oldest while my wife took a nap. Uh, so that's what happened. What the hell? Sorry, I was looking for something in particular. Anyway, yeah. So that's what happened. I was gonna do a show, but yeah, my wife was extremely tired, so I wanted to give her a chance to get some rest, and so I watched our daughter, our both our daughters, and took care of them and hung out with them while my wife got some sleep. Um, let's see. Okay. I just want to give a shout out, and that's why it took me for a second. A shout out to Just a Normal Fox for the subscription on YouTube. Thank you for subscribing. Appreciate you. Hope you can catch one of my live shows. Um, let's see. Sorry, man. I'm like, I just woke up from a nap, so I was exhausted. So yeah, so we're gonna talk about. Sorry, I got distracted. All right. So what we're gonna talk about today is obviously Trump trial day 4 and 5. Let's see. So 4 ended with the conclusion of the jury selection. I think that's it. Excuse me. All right. There's a lot of pre-motion stuff. So, sorry, I'm just bring it. There we go. Okay. Oh man, sorry. Anyway, so we'll talk about the Trump trial day 4 and 5. Again, a lot of my coverage is going to be for the next couple of weeks is probably Trump. I don't know if that's going to end up taking the entirety of my show. Because I am going off of the updates from CNN. However biased CNN is, so it may end up being they take up the whole show. It may end up being that they don't, and I'll do something else later on. If it does take up a portion of my morning show to the point where it's no point of me doing, maybe just doing one other thing to talk about, I may do a show in the afternoon around this time ish, and doing well, probably closer to 2, but around this time, and doing a show there where I'll do some other daily news stuff. That's all that really matters, or that's all that's really gonna happen. Let's see. Okay, I'm just getting everything up and running on my end. All right. So yeah. So day 4, they finished up jury trial. It doesn't look like they did anything else. And of course, on day 4, there was that issue with someone self-immolating themselves, which I will be covering after I finish day 4 and 5. Um, and then day 5 actually seemed to be getting into it, into the meat and potatoes of it. So we'll go and look over that. Just trying to decide how far. I don't think I'm going to get too deep into the juror stuff. So day 4 will be a little shorter coverage. It's just mainly about juror stuff, and yeah. So I'm just trying to decide. There's some like drama. All right. So I got where I'm going to start for day 4. Let's see. We're getting to day 5. Yeah, day 5 is going to take up a bunch. Sorry, it takes a second to update everything. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think this might end. Yeah, this will. Yeah, it'll probably. I'm looking through this currently, and I think what's going to end up happening is I'm going to definitely be. This will definitely be taking a pretty much a good portion of my day. Okay, just trying to get where to start. Okay. All right. I know where I'm going to start. All right. There we go. Sorry about that. Like I said, I'm just getting everything all set. All right. So let's see. Yeah. So it looks like what I'm looking through is odds are this stuff, the trial is going to really take up a majority of my morning, if not all of it entirely. So I will do the Trump trial probably in the morning, and in the afternoon I may do I'll probably do a show, a daily show, like I normally do, and cover some of the things I I, I normally would cover during my morning show. So we'll do like a two shows thing. I haven't been doing it, but I will do my best to start doing. I'll do a gaming show in the middle of the day or at the end of the day on Thursdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays. So today I should be trying to play some Helldivers later. So just be on eye out, look out for that. Yesterday the reason I didn't have a show is I had a dentist appointment. I didn't get a crown put in, and oh man, my tongue's all roughed up from it too. I think I bit it or something. But anyways, all right, let's get into this. We're gonna do day 4, and I think I'll probably do the dude who set himself on fire in the middle of this because it does talk about this in the middle of it. So I will be talking about it because why not? There it is. All right. So we're gonna start here, just because it was funny. Another prospective alternate is excused after she after saying she couldn't serve starting to cry. One potential alternate juror, as if you're not sure, day 5 or day 4 was they're finishing up jury selection. Uh, after began crying when handed the microphone. I'm sorry. I thought I could do this. I wouldn't want someone who feels this way to judge my case either. She said, I don't want you to feel I've wasted anyone's time. This is so much more stressful than I thought. Judge Juan Merchant invited her to come up to the bench to talk privately, after which she was excused. There have been 5 excused jurors today so far. Potential jurors are being asked about Michael Cohen and whether they can keep an open mind if he testifies. Prosecutor Suzanne Hoffinger is going through Michael Cohen's background, asking potential jurors whether they'll keep an open mind. She asked one juror if the fact that Cohen pleaded guilty wouldn't stop the person from listening. That's correct. I'll keep listening. Cohen is expected to testify in the trial. Yeah, he kind of has to. I'm pretty sure Michael Cohen's like the crux of their whole probably their whole strategy. Prospective juror says they won't prejudge witnesses. They can promise not to prejudge the witnesses in trial. No prejudgment, said one prospective juror. Another juror, who is a lawyer, also said she'd approach the case with no prejudgments. Prosecutors asked each potential juror if they'll be able to convict Trump if case is proven. Is now going through the jurors one by one to ask each would they be able to return a guilty verdict if the evidence proves it's beyond a reasonable doubt. Donald Trump is looking at the juror box as they respond. Hoffinger is also asking potential jurors if they will return a verdict of not guilty if the evidence doesn't prove the case. The question that Susan Nichols, Trump's lawyer, asked prospective jurors yesterday. Trump's attorney is now questioning the potential jurors. It is the defense turn to question the potential jurors, and Trump's attorney, Susan Nichols, is up. Nichols, who also questioned prospective jurors yesterday, once again focused her line of questioning on bias towards Trump. You all bring bias, and you particularly bring bias about someone who is as publicly and outspoken as President Trump. There's nobody that doesn't know him in this room, she said. Trump is watching Nichols speak to the jury pool. Judge says jurors will determine credibility of witnesses after Trump's attorney asked them about Cohen. Trump's attorney, Nichols, is pushing back on prosecutor Susan Hoffinger's statements about Michael Cohen. She asked the potential jurors whether any would have a problem considering the fact people change their stories that might indicate that they are lying. Trump, who is facing jury box, leans forward and whispers to his attorney, Todd Blanche, as Judge Juan Merchant interrupts Nichols to tell jurors that they ultimately make their own determination about the credibility of a witness who will testify at their trial. Potential juror dismissed after saying she feels anxiety and self-doubt. One potential juror questioned, raised her hand and told the court that as she sits and listens to this line question, she is feeling anxiety and self-doubt. She approaches the bench to privately discuss the issue with the parties and was then dismissed. She quickly exited the courtroom. Potential alternate says her personal opinions of Trump are more focused on his base. Donald Trump's attorney, Susan Nichols, spoke with a female juror who attended the Women's March, asking what she thinks of Trump and if she has strong opinions about him. Sorry. She replies, not at the moment. I believe that my primary biases, I think my personal biases or opinions about Trump are more focused on his base. The prospective juror added that his rhetoric at times enables people to feel as if they have permission to discriminate or act on their negative impulse. She said she did not hold Trump responsible for the way his base responds to his rhetoric, saying it's an issue for the ballot box and not necessary in the courtroom. She also said she's embarrassed that she doesn't know his policies. Every time I've tried to listen to one of his rallies, she said, I feel like I'm intruding on personal conversation. What the fuck? Okay. One prospective jurist said she has a balanced opinion on Donald Trump. I'm actually have a favorable opinions on some of his policies enacted, tax policy, and foreign policy. She said. Defense attorney Susan Eccles asked if she would feel pressure from friends who don't like Trump. I've never felt pressure, she responded. Let's see. One prospective juror who is a native New Yorker said Trump, in his view, is just a normal person. We don't really get starstruck or really care about anything like that. He's just a normal person to me, and that's the way I see it. Another potential juror says his opinions of Trump varies when looking at him as a person, politician, or businessman. Another male potential juror gave a lengthy answer about whether he likes Donald Trump, saying he has 5 or 6 answers depending on whether it's as a person, politician, or businessman. The man noted that Trump is a family man and a businessman and successful. He said that when looking as Trump as a politician, there's also the Republican Party, and that's where things get a bit tricky. He said he likes lower taxes in this country, but raised a concern that Republican Party brings religion into people's rights and women's rights to their own bodies. Abortion issue. Although, ironically, considering that Trump's abortion stance is, we'll just leave it to the states. So, whether this guy knows that or not, I don't know. Another potential juror asked about his opinion on Donald Trump said, there's been so much thrown around in recent years, I simply disregard it as much as I can. Hey, all right, so Nichols is done. He's done questioning. Attorneys are discussing the jury strikes at the best. Another alternate has been selected. She's originally from Spain. It's not working and is married with adult children. Earlier, she said she does not follow the news and does not have any social media accounts. She likes to travel and said she's very fortunate in life not to have any health issues. I don't have strong opinions about former President Donald Trump that would interfere with the ability to be a fair and impartial juror, she said. Several jurors became emotional during Friday's voir dire proceedings as they were questioned about their ability to serve on Trump's trial. We've already talked about that. So, one female juror who was excused for technical reasons became emotional when talking about her past during the questioning portion. She began by telling the courtroom she thought she would be disqualified because she had a previous conviction. She was previously convicted of a crime in another state. Trump watched her intently as she shared her story with the parties at the bench. Although she was not dismissed for being a convicted felon, she did not have required paperwork, so she was disqualified. When answering whether he experienced, it was a good experience, but a tough one. The system was helpful, he added. He had been accused of crime. He's still part of a jury pool going through voir dire process. So emotional. Judge granted a Trump team challenge for cause after she spoke about former President Trump's rhetoric. She said she believes Trump's followers act almost like they are devoted to him. People felt emboldened by what Trump was saying to discriminate against me as a woman or discriminate against others based on gender, sexual orientation, or things of that nature. Asked whether she can give assurances that if she's a juror, she would be able to separate those issues from Trump as a defendant in the case. I can do that just on the basis I think these are issues that are outside this courtroom. Trump's attorney, Susan Eccles, said that they are still challenging her because she said she felt Trump discriminated against her personally. When someone comes into this case with that kind of baggage, Nichols argued, it's a problem. Merchant said that while he agreed the prospective juror was credible in being able to put aside her views, he said he granted the challenge to ensure finality of the case. Third alternate juror was selected. Another one. Trump brings another challenge. Let's see. Potential juror being challenged says he doesn't remember his social media post from 2016. Judge asked the prospective juror Donald Trump's team is challenging about a social media post in 2016 that were flagged by Trump's side. Asked if he remembered the post. I don't remember. I guess they're mine. The prospective juror says. Let's see. The judge showed him pictures from a rally he attended in 2017, where he took pictures of signs in the crowd. One had the caption "My sentiments exactly." The judge asked him whether he agrees with the signs. Trump's attorney asked him if he considered the rally an anti-Trump rally, and the prospective juror said he thought it was a woman's right rally. Noted he used the phrase anti-Trump rally in his post. Judge dismissed juror the judge. I'm not going to say everyone's names. I'm just going to go with their title. The judge dismissed the potential juror Trump's lawyers had challenged, saying it out of abundance of caution. Too many people worked too hard to get the case this far to see it jeopardized. Trump's team pointed to the photos the potential juror had taken at a 2017 rally when seeking the challenge. Explaining his decision to dismiss the juror, Merchant note that while the juror described the rally as a woman's rally, he also had the captions that it was a massive anti-Trump rally. Potential juror over social media's post describing the president as the devil. Donald Trump's side is challenging another potential juror over social media posts, as Trump's attorney read the post, including one describing Trump's egomaniacal sociopathic incompetence, and another saying that Trump is the devil. Former president does not appear to react as he's sitting back in his chair. Yeah, why does he give a fuck what anyone else thinks about him? Like, seriously. The juror is brought into the room to confirm whether this is his social media account. So this one was dismissed after a review of his social accounts with a referencing a quote in which he called Trump egomaniac. Maniacal. It's not too far off the base from what he felt at the time. He also said the top image of his Facebook account is his, but then suggested the post in question are not his. Okay. Fifth alternate. All right. Sixth alternate. All right. Boom. We have a full bow. So at 1:33 p.m., 12 jurors and 6 alternates have been seated. Alternate jurors have been sworn in. I expect we're going to begin trial on Monday. Man, I called it. Did I not call it? They were going to finish up with jury selection, and then Monday was going to be the start of this. Fucking called it. Merchant is giving the juror instructions not to dismiss the case or discuss it with others or research it. There are 18 jurors in total, and we cannot start until all are present each day, he says. Adjourned for lunch. Secret Service agent speaking to Trump in the gallery. So here's the recap. Let's see. So a group of 22 potential jurors from the most recent panel returned to court to answer their questionnaires. From there, the lawyers from the prosecutor and defense each got 25 minutes to ask potential jurors questions. Oh, fucking hell. Tired. Sorry. Prosecutors started questioning we read all this. Dismissed. Okay, and then this incident. A man lit himself on fire outside of the courthouse where the trial is underway. 2 law enforcement confirm. And then the judge said there will be a Salvadova hearing after lunch break around 3:15 p.m. That routine hearing will address Trump's criminal history and assess how much prosecutors can ask if a defendant testifies. So here it is. Man lit himself on fire outside the courthouse where Trump's trial is underway. So we'll just cover this lightly here, this whole self-immolation thing. And then I got a video of the guy who did it and his, what he has to say, basically. NYPD Chief of Department Jeffrey B. Madry said the man walked into the central collection of collected Pond Park, which is directly across from the courtroom, opened his backpack and took out pamphlets that he scattered in the park before setting himself on fire. A CNN team on the ground observed one of the fires. It said NYU is a mob front and various allegations of wrongdoings against the school. So I guess I don't know. We'll see what he has to say, but apparently this had nothing to do with Trump. It just so happened to be, where the most new coverage is. NYPD Chief Detective Joseph Kenney said police have not determined if the incident was related to Trump's trial. He said the man did post about the incident on social media, and his internet presence will be part of the ongoing investigation. At least one person used a fire extinguisher to try to put out the blaze, and EMT rushed to the man trying to render aid, according to CNN Laura Coates, who narrated the scene unfolding in front of her outside the courtroom. All right, so real quick before we get into the rest of this Trump stuff, go over here. Listen to this real quick. All right, so let's see.
Start a fucking revolution.
What the fuck?
Start a fucking revolution. Start a fucking revolution. You've got nothing to lose. Start.
Okay, apparently that includes setting himself on fire? All right, got another one real quick, and then that'll be the end of this because, just, what happens when you let maniacs with fire?
Police! Hey, police! There's a guy lighting himself on fire. He's lighting himself on fire. Hello?
Oh, that's
Police!
it? No, I thought he was actually going to take the. We're going to actually see him light himself on fire. So even a witness was like, "Hey, yo, police! Hey, police! This nut is letting himself on fire." Okay. So apparently, this guy also had a thing that said Trump is Biden. Trump is with Biden, and they are about to fascist coup U.S. Let's see. So yeah, that's pretty much it, honestly. Clearly an insane individual. I mean, you got to be insane if you're going to light yourself on fire. Let's be honest. Okay. Yeah. So he gets on social media and wants to start a revolution, apparently, and then lights himself on fire. Okay. So clearly not a stable individual. Here's why gag order violations might not affect Trump that much. Although Donald Trump has been accused by the Manhattan District Attorney Office of violating his gag order at least 10 times, the consequences for the former president might be minimum. In a hearing Tuesday, Judge Merchant will have to decide whether between fining Trump up to $1,000 per violation, so that's 10 grand, and imprisoning him for up to 30 days. Trump's not going to care about that. He'd gladly pay $1,000 per social to lash out at Michael Cohen and other witnesses, Hogan said. But I think Trump has done the calculations probably correctly. There's no way that this judge is going to lock him up for filing a gag order, and certainly not at this point. Hogan noted that it is a problem for trial management and courtroom order that could eventually become an issue for Trump as well. Earlier today, Trump said outside the courtroom that the gag order has to come off, telling reporters that he should be allowed to speak. I absolutely agree. Like, I don't disagree with the gag order on the jurors, but everyone else should be free game. Maybe family members of prosecutors. Maybe the family members. I don't know any family members that he's gone after. He may have, but I think the jurors is the only one that's like should be all right. Everyone else should be free game pretty much. uh, for Trump, because be dumb for him to say anything about jurors. But I think the jurors, because they're anonymous, that's free game. Everyone else is a public individual. We all get to learn who they are, so you should be able to talk about them regardless. So this is a dumb gag order, anyways. Okay, not important. Appeals court is hearing arguments this afternoon on Trump's motion to change venue of the trial. A New York appeals court is hearing arguments Friday afternoon over Trump's motion to change venue, according to two sources. Last week, Trump had asked the appeals court to stop trial so they could argue over a change of venue, saying he couldn't get a fair trial in Manhattan. The appellate judge denied the motion. Full panel is hearing Trump's challenge over a changed venue. The hearing comes an hour after jury selection was completed in the criminal trial. Interesting. Salvador hearing. So this is what one is. Trump faces a Sandoval hearing this afternoon, opening a door for the former president to testify at his criminal trial, as his defense team gauged the risk of letting him take the stand. A Salvador hearing involves an examination of the defendant's criminal history. It is required under New York law when a defendant plans to testify in their own trial, and is meant as an indicator of whether it's a good idea for them to take the stand. During the proceedings, both sides will discuss what prosecutors will be allowed to ask Trump on cross-examination. That's interesting. I don't think any of his history. I think the only thing about his criminal history that should be allowed is, have you been convicted? No, no. I don't think he has any criminal convictions. Well, we'll see. More about the guy who lit himself on fire. They're throwing pamphlets in the air. Man poured gasoline from multiple containers over his head. Another law enforcement told CNN. The man also carried two large signs, one advertising a Substack and one that said Trump is provided by two. The one advertising the Substack had a driver's license that officially believed belonged to a man taped to the corner. Let's see. They're inside. Let's see. So the guy who lit himself on fire is in critical condition. Shocking. Kind of happens when you light yourself on fire. Shocking is in critical condition. The NYPD chief says departments will follow security protocols following the fire. A brief security protocols as the park was open to the public, but of course we're going to look at everything with the magnitude of what's going on. We'll assess our security with our federal partners. Said that while Tark Shepard, the deputy commissioner of public information for the department, said that while he cannot share conversation with the Secret Service, everyone involved in trial inside is aware of the incident that took place outside today. Law enforcement ramped up security for the trial with a sophisticated multi-layer plan. So, a bunch of pamphlets throwing conspiracy theories. That's hilarious. What a dumbass. You're an idiot if you light yourself on fire. I mean, that'd be funny. But currently he's has bond for that hearing, and I think if the appellate court is actually going to be fair, and I'm sure this will go probably all the way to the Supreme Court, but if they're going to actually be fair, it's going to be it's one. I think with Eugene Carroll, the defamation she sued under, I think it was clear Trump had immunity, and I think the judge is going to be found wrong for not granting Trump the civil immunity he was due, because when he was doing that, he was president. And when it comes to civil immunity, Trump has, or the president has pretty much, like, he's immune by anything that could potentially be even a smidgen close to presidential office, and defending his name could be seen as a presidential thing. So I think it was wrong that that the judge. I think even the judge agreed that Trump did have immunity, but he said he didn't invoke it, which does make sense because if you have immunity, you don't need to invoke it. And yeah, you're probably right. There is a thing called Trump derangement syndrome, and it's a thing. It's ridiculous. Let's see. All right. So Emily Bove, a member of Trump's legal team, says that Trump's attorneys do not object to redacting personal identifying information from Michael Cohen's cell phone, which includes Cohen's contact, but they object to the sealing of the entire exhibits in a public trial. The prosecutor responded that redacting the documents would be extremely burdensome. Hold on. I'm going to switch some things around. There we go. All right. I can't read it quite well on my regular screen, so I'm going to move things around so we can look at like I'm looking. All right. Sorry. Let's see. Would be extremely burdensome. Oh, boo-hoo. How sad. It would be extremely burdensome to redact it, redact some documents. Isn't that why we pay you? So you could do burdensome work? Saying it would require combing through thousands of pages and thousands of Conan's phone contacts. The judge then says he's not going to require prosecutors to redact 39,000 contacts when they only seek to introduce what's relevant. He says what prosecutors only want to use what is relevant, and if Trump lawyers see something that's sealed that they want to use, he'll look at it then. Okay. Let's see. Oh, that's not important. All right, Salvadova hearing underway. Judge is holding a Salvadova hearing, a routine hearing that will address Trump's criminal history. What criminal history? Has he been convicted of a criminal crime? He's got a bunch of charges. I don't think he's been convicted. Court is also reviewing a defense motion. Trump's attorney began by saying that defense objects to each case that the prosecutor wants to erase. Of course. It's not going to allow a trial within a trial. The judge let's see, where public clashes mask a clandestine criminality. Okay. Whatever you say, Valiant Trump. Not sure. Not really sure what to say. Okay. Oh, sorry. I missed. All right. Hold on. That's what happened. This junction, my skepticism extends to both the Republicans and majority of Democrats. It appears to be akin to a WWE wrestling spectacle. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I have very little faith in the Republican Party. I think Trump is the only good thing that that comes from the Republican Party. They just the Republicans just agreed to send more money to Ukraine and Israel, wasting a bunch of our fucking money for something that we should have no interest in whatsoever. Within a trial, as Salvadova hearing got underway in the Manhattan courthouse. A Salvadova hearing is a routine process which determines to what extent Trump's past wrongdoings can be brought up. I don't think there's anything that can really be brought up. He hasn't been convicted of anything in a criminal sense. Let's see. Oh yeah, no, that's how law always works. It's very vague, and then when you challenge the vagueness, they're like, "Well, we're just trying to be as fair as possible," but then it's so vague that it doesn't you can't really understand where's the line and where you can't cross it. There are some laws that are like, all right, this is the crossing point, but then there's some where it's like, well, where's the point where I'm actually committing a crime and I'm safe and legal? This is why we need term limits on the Congress. We have term limits on the on president, but we don't have term limits for Congress. Let's see. Okay. Merchant Mark came as Trump's attorney argued the specifics of a previous 355 million civil fraud judgment against the former president, and whether the prosecutors can use it as part of the current proceedings. In my opinion, this shouldn't have any relevance whatsoever, because it's a civil trial and it's not a criminal trial. Although, even though they used the criminal metrics to punish Trump, it was a civil trial. Let's see. The prosecutor said that as a former Donald Trump, former president, I guess, whatever, Donald Trump chooses whether to testify during the trial. It is clear that witness credibility is at a core of it, and that's an argument for allowing additional evidence, not excluding it. Trump's attorney then moved on to discuss the Trump Organization verdict, arguing that the prosecutor in that case, who are sitting to his right, said that that those charges were not about Trump. This case is not about Donald Trump. Bovo quoted prosecutor Hoffinger as saying during the trial. The judge also presided over that trial. Colangelo says. He says the prosecutors in the trial spoke at length about what Trump knew countered the defense argument that a defendant in that case, Alan Weisselberg, had gone rogue. Remember, in December 2022, two Trump Organization companies were found guilty on multiple charges of civil tax fraud and falsifying business records connected to a 15-year scheme to defraud tax authorities by failing to report and pay taxes on compensation for top executives. Trump and his family were not charged in this case, but the former president was mentioned repeatedly during the trial by prosecutors about his connection to the benefit doled out to certain executives, including company-funded apartments, car leases, and personal expenses. Let's see. So, president. Okay. Donald Trump's attorneys are arguing court now against bringing his past legal cases and battles during the hush money criminal trial. The former president is reacting in court as prosecutors bring up the allegations against him. Here's the cases. So the judgment, it's a civil fraud order, the civil fraud trial. If you guys didn't remember that. The October 2023 gag order. Also object to entering finding that Trump violated his gag order in 2023. And the E. Jean Carroll defamation case. And now all these cases are civil shit. This isn't actually criminal. So why should it be brought up at all? Trump's attorneys accused prosecutors of piling things on to confuse the juror. One of Donald Trump's attorneys accused prosecutors of piling things on, trying to confuse the jury about what's actually at issue in the hush money trial. Agree. That's obviously what's going on. Like the civil fraud, the settlement, the civil fraud order, and the defamation case have nothing to do with this trial at all. They're not relevant to the case, and they're all civil stuff. They're not criminal stuff. So why should it be brought up in the first place? Let's see. At the appeals court, at a hastily scheduled New York appeals court Friday afternoon, Trump's attorneys, Cliff Robert, called for an interim stay in the hush money trial and argued the venue should be changed from Manhattan. Robert argued that seating a jury in 30 days with so many potential jurors being dismissed for cause over bias is untenable. He also cited a woman who was seated on the jury Tuesday and asked to be dismissed Thursday after she felt pressure from the media attention. Robert argued it showed how the public publicity surrounding the case has made the trial unfair to Trump. Stephen Wu, district attorney's appeal lawyer, said the record shows the opposite, that jurors' selection has worked. He said there has been a robust process to ensure jurors can be fair and impartial. He also pointed to the questionnaire that Wu said is longer than typically used. Judge Marshall Michaels said she would issue a ruling shortly. I'm assuming, considering the trial's still going forward, that they didn't get their change of venue. Let's see. So it ended. So the judge says he will reserve his decision for now, but the lawyers will have it by Monday. So we'll find out that ruling on Monday or next. Went on to discuss several exhibits Trump's lawyers are arguing should be precluded because of presidential immunity. Attorneys are now raising other issues related to pre-motion letters. Prosecutors are arguing that the judge should reserve any judgment of evidentiary objections until trial. This has to end. Judge says defense cannot keep filing pre-motion letters. Says defense cannot continue to keep filing pre-motion letters and motions to try and relitigate decisions the judge has already made. I've entertained your motions. I've entertained your arguments in good faith. At some point, you need to accept my motions. Okay. Judge says Trump's team appears to be re-arguing ruling on Access Hollywood tape. Judge says that Trump's attorneys appear to be re-arguing his ruling on what can and can't come in related to the infamous Access Hollywood tape. Merchant said on Monday that he would not allow the tape to be played to jurors, but would allow prosecutors to refer to what was said on the tape. Trump's attorney's Todd Blanchard is arguing that an email being introduced with the text of what was said went beyond what Merchant's initial decision allowed for, which is why they asked for clarification. Prosecutor Joshua Steinglass says that they had already argued on Monday. Merchant says he's going to go back and read the transcript and see if anything he said is inconsistent with his prior ruling. He said his main concern with the tape was that the jury would hear your client's voice, seeing his face and his mannerisms. My concern is that it would be extremely prejudicial, he says. Let's see. Not important. That's just a recap of what we just read. Okay. Donald Trump's attorney renewed the defense request for prosecutors to turn over the name of the witness they plan to call on Monday. She suggested the prosecution share the name of Trump's attorneys on the condition that they do not tell their client. Prosecutors offered to provide the name of the first witness on Sunday, and should that be tweeted, it will be the last time, prosecutor said, referring to the notion that the former president tweets about the witness if they share the name of the defense. I don't think that should be allowed. Guess what? If Trump tweets it. Deal with it. You shouldn't be able to hide who you're going to call from the attorneys. Okay? Like, what is this shit? Oh, I'm going to hide because he tweets it out. Boo fucking who? Deal with it. Trump says he'll testify. And the court is adjourned. So there we go. Yeah. New York appeals court judge denied motions for appeal to extend. Oh. Okay, so I guess the change of venue appeal is still pending. These are all the ooh. All right, so there we go. Now we're on to day 5. So this is what prosecutors have to prove. Former President Trump is on trial in Manhattan for his alleged role in hush money scheme to silence his alleged mistress before the 2016 election. He faces 34 counts related to falsifying New York business records in order to conceal damaging information and unlawful activities from American voters before and after the 2016 election. Prosecutors need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Trump falsified business records with the intent to commit or conceal another crime. But they don't have to prove that Trump committed that crime. The prosecutor's theory is that the second crime would be in violation of federal and state election laws or state tax laws regarding how the reimbursement to Michael Cohen were handled. Trump's attorneys have kept their defense close to the vest, but in court filings, they've indicated they plan to attack the credibility of Cohen and Stormy Daniels and paint them as liars who are motivated by grudges and money. Trump's legal team are two former prosecutors from New York, and Nichols is a veteran criminal defense lawyer with deep experience in New York and before Merchant. Nichols represents Trump's business at its tax fraud trial in 2022. The company was convicted. That doesn't look good for her. Outside, lawyers who have been following the case say Trump is likely to argue that hush money payments are legal and distance the president from the repayment scheme and bookkeeping handling by his trusted employees. They may also argue that the payments were made to prevent embarrassment to Trump's family, not to influence the election. Trump could also testify in his own defense. He has testified to two recent civil trials after regretting not taking the stand in a prior civil trial, but the stakes are higher in the criminal case. Let's see. Court's in session. It's alone. Let's see. William Sheriff, Trump's defense attorney, says his legal team is focused on the facts and cut through all the sensationalism to defend the former president. Speaking to CNN's Jake Tapper, Schaaf says, "We believe we have a winning case," and said he hoped the jury would be able to cut through all the noise. "This is a winning case for us. Donald Trump did nothing wrong. If we can just focus on the facts, if we drive home what the facts are to the jury, I don't think any of this noise is going to end up mattering." Okay, so the juror who was concerned about media attention is staying on the panel. Shut up, dude. Judge Merchant said he's not changing his ruling on the Access Hollywood tape, not allowing the tape to be played as evidence. He said he will allow prosecutors show emails describing what was said on the tape. So he reads a Salvador ruling. On Friday, held a routine hearing to address Trump's criminal history and assess how much prosecutors can ask if the defendant testifies. The judge notes that the law gives a trial judge a wide range of discretion in deciding what to allow to be cross-examined of the defendant. Trump sitting back and not reacting as the judge reads his ruling. Prosecutors are allowed to ask Trump about 4 separate proceedings. Judge Juan Merchant said that if Trump takes a stand, the court will allow prosecutors to inquire into the following 6 determinations, including 4 proceedings. He is now reading them. He will allow Trump to be cross-examined on the civil fraud verdict that found he violated by fraudulently inflating the value of his properties and was ordered to pay penalties. Merchant will also allow prosecutors to ask Trump about 2 violations of Judge Arthur Engelgrund's gag order during the trials last fall. Why? Credibility? This was here's my issue. It was a civil trial. It'd be one thing if this is a criminal trial, but it's a civil trial, which means the burden of proof is like 51% versus 99%, 90% beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay. So I don't think, whatever. None of that should be, see? Let's see. Prosecutors will be permitted to ask Trump about the E. Jean Carroll verdicts. Why? About both E. Jean Carroll's verdicts in federal court, where juries found that Trump defamed her when he denied her rape allegations. Yeah, but that same juror also determined that he didn't rape her. They claimed he sexually assaulted her, but he didn't determine that they raped her. What the fuck? Judge Juan is also allowing prosecutors to list testimony from Donald Trump about the settlement he reached with the New York Attorney General that led to the dissolution of the Donald J. Trump Foundation. Judge rules prosecutors can't ask about 2022 Trump or tax fraud commission if Trump testifies. It's off limits for prosecutors. Trump testifies. Judge is also not allowing prosecutors to ask Trump about the ruling in Florida, where the judge sanctioned Trump for filing frivolous lawsuits against Hillary Clinton. So this is some opening statements. So let's see. So yeah, basically the civil fraud trial that was sent can be brought in, and the E. Jean Carroll verdicts can be brought in, and the 2 violations of the judge's gag order can be brought in. But none of this really, I don't think any of that pertains to the trial. It seems more prejudicial. Let's see. So this is all. Let's see. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, Thursday. No, Thursday. I think I will skip the Trump stuff, or I'll do it in the afternoon. But I'm going to listen to this this Thursday thing. Will I do it live? Maybe I'll do it live. Maybe we'll do a live listing on Thursday. What I might do on Wednesday is I might do a second show on Wednesday, and we'll cover the Wednesday trial, since we'll be covering the day before, not the day of the trials. So that's what I think I might do. These are all jury instructions, which is why I'm kind of skipping it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So prosecutor began the opening statements with a focus on the case against Donald Trump. This case is about criminal conspiracy and a cover-up. The defendant, Donald Trump, orchestrated a criminal scheme to corrupt the 2016 presidential election. Then he covered up the criminal conspiracy by lying in his New York business records over and over and over again. That the conspiracy began a few months after Donald Trump announced his candidacy in 2015 at a meeting with Trump, David Pecker, and Michael Cohen. They formed a conspiracy at that meeting to influence the presidential election by concealing negative information about Mr. Trump in order to help him get elected. Okay, first off, that's pretty fucking common. That's pretty common. This isn't new in politics. This is very common in politics. Prosecutor said the conspiracy extended its payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels by Cohen just weeks before the 2016 election. Assistant District Attorney says Michael Cohen made the hush money payments at the defendant's direction and did it to influence the presidential election. After the election, Donald Trump reimbursed Cohen for that payment, and they were disguised what the payments were for. Trump said in business records that he paid Cohen for legal services pursuant to a retainer agreement, but those were lies. There was no retainer agreement. Okay. In a 2015 meeting, Donald Trump, Michael Cohen, and David Pecker, the ex-publisher of the National Enquirer, agreed that Pecker would help the defendant campaign. The prosecutor says in his opening statement, the scheme was three-pronged, Cohen said. Pecker agreed to help Trump kill negative stories on Trump, publish favorable stories about Trump and publish negative stories about Trump's political appointment. Oh, shocking. They agreed that AMI, the parent company of the National Enquirer, would use the magazine to prevent harmful information from becoming public and publish flattering stories about Trump. Silencing the harmful stories was the core of the conspiracy. Okay. Here's what prosecutors have to do to prove their case. The prosecutors in the hush money trial against Trump will have to rely on documents that prove intent in order to make their case to the jury. There are 34 business records counts. Coates legal analysis went through an argument checklist on what prosecutors will be aiming to prove: intent to defraud, intent to commit another crime, aid to conceal the commission of that crime, made and cause a false entry in the business records. While Coates notes is a key argument because the idea is that it was an illegal retainer, in fact a non-existent one. Documents / evidence needed to show falsified records. And then the motive will need to be determined on whether this was a private or political act, whether this was done to protect or prevent Donald Trump's wife, Melania, from finding out about the affair, or done for political purpose. Even if it's half private, half political, it doesn't matter. Prosecutor raised the stories the National Enquirer ran to attack Donald Trump's opponent, including accusing Ben Carson of medical malpractice and accusing Ted Cruz of sexual infidelity and having some family connections to JFK's assassination. They used a practice called catch and kill. It's a way of buying damaged information not to publish, but to hide it, make it go away, and in this case, help the candidate. Oh, no. First one was the $30,000 payment to former doorman of Trump's tower who alleged Trump fathered a child. It's the first time David Pecker had ever paid anyone for information about Donald Trump. Then described the second catch and kill deal involving Karen McDougal. Said the evidence will show that Trump was informed about the McDougal situation and defendant desperately did not want information about McDougal to become public because he was concerned about the election. Assistant District Attorney said that David Pecker, the former chairman of National Enquirer's parent company, was not acting as a publisher. He was acting as a co-conspirator, laying out stories associated with the then chairman and CEO of American Media Inc., Pecker, who is accused of having been involved in numerous catch and kill schemes orchestrated on Trump's behalf. Pecker was a central player in the alleged schemes to pay hush money to adult film star Stormy Daniels to cover up her alleged affair with Trump ahead of the 2016 presidential election. Prosecutor told the jury that the AMI paid Karen McDougal $150,000 for the rights to her story. Colugino said that the evidence will show that that Trump was informed about McDougal's situation and that the defendant desperately did not want this information about McDougal to become public because he was concerned about the election. David Pecker started getting antsy and frustrated because he was concerned Trump wouldn't pay him back for the McDougal payoff. To show good faith, Michael Cohen used his cell phone to record a conversation with Trump about McDougal payment in September 2016. Just as Cohen was doing, Pecker was also used a middleman to hide the true nature of the transaction. Prosecutor said that Pecker eventually told Cohen that the deal was off and that AMI would eat the cost of paying McDougal. Assistant District Attorney says that the Washington Post October 2016 report on the Access Hollywood tape turns the rest of the presidential campaign entirely upside down. Introducing that the Stormy Daniels story started making the Post reports. Prosecutors have argued that the campaign reacting to the Access Hollywood tape was one of the reasons they were so concerned about Daniels' allegation. The prosecutor read Trump's words to the jury from the Access Hollywood tape. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. I can't even wait. When you're a star, they let you do it. grabbed him by the pussy, read. Those are Donald Trump's words. As the words read, the impact on the campaign was immediate and explosive. Not really, considering the fact he got elected president. And nothing he said was wrong. Like, people got their panties in a bunch for no reason. Like, all he said was, they let you do this, which is true. Like, if you're a star, if you're high up, women will let you do a lot of things. It's just the fact of it is. Let's see. Trump's campaign went into damage control mode following the release of the Access Hollywood tape and initially described it as locker room talk, which it is. Campaign insiders were concerned Trump's words were caught on video. Trump did not want to write a check himself to make the $130,000 payment, so he asked Michael Cohen and Alan Weiselberg to figure out some other way to make the payment. Before putting up his own money, Cohen confirmed that Trump would pay him back. At Trump's request, Cohen agreed to use his own money to keep Daniels quiet 2 weeks before the 2016 election. Let's see. Prosecutor said after the Access Hollywood tape surfaced, an adult film star alleged she had an extramarital affair with Donald Trump. The film star was Stormy Daniels. Cohen then discussed that the situation with Trump who was adamant he did not want the story to come out. Another story about sexual infidelity, especially with a porn star, on the heels of the Access Hollywood tape, would have been devastating to his campaign. So, at Trump's direction, Cohen negotiated the deal to buy Daniels' story to prevent it from becoming public before the election. Pecker was never paid back for the doorman or the model and the actress McDougal dealings, but he was willing to help as long as someone else put up the money. Well, didn't Pecker say, "Yeah, deal's off. We'll eat the cost." Cohen's hope was to delay payment to Daniels until after the election and then not pay at all. But Daniels and her lawyer realized they were being strung along. Well, that sounds like something Cohen was doing. Let's see. Yeah, I got closer to announcing Trump as president. The lawyer who cut deals with Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels, Kenneth David, texted National Enquirer editor-in-chief Daniel Howard, "What have we done?" What? Okay. In his opening statement on Monday, prosecutors sought to reframe the case against Trump, saying it was about much more than hush money he allegedly paid to cover up negative information. Instead, Trump, along with his attorney Cohen and David Pecker, the former chairman of National Enquirer, parent company AMI, formed a conspiracy to influence the presidential election. The defendant, Donald Trump, orchestrated a crime scheme to corrupt the 2016 election. He covered up the criminal conspiracy by lying in his New York business records over and over and over again. It was election fraud, pure and simple. Okay, so killing a couple stories is election fraud now. Scheme was three-pronged. I think this is just a reframe of what we just read. This is a summary. So prosecutors walking the juror through a $130,000 payment Trump made to Michael Cohen and how they reached that number by including funds for taxes because the money was listed as income and not as a reimbursement. He notes former Trump Organization CFO Alan Weisberg wrote down all these figures in Cohen's repayment. Jurors will see in Weisberg's handwriting how they calculated reimbursement. Weisberg notes shows that it was a gross up way to disguise the payment. Trump was a very frugal businessman who believed in pinching pennies. Of course, that's how every rich person stays rich. Let's see. The prosecutor said that when it came time for Donald Trump to pay Michael Cohen back for the catch and kill deal, involving Daniels, you'll see he didn't negotiate the price down. He doubled it. He doubled it so they could disguise it as income. Noted that Trump, Conan, and Alan Weisenberg agreed that Conan would be paid back in monthly installments by sending fake note invoices to the Trump org each month. It's a clever way to pay back Conan without being too obvious about it. Repayment to Conan, as recorded in business records, was a double lie because there was no retainer agreement and Conan was not getting paid for legal services in 2017. Let's see. Trump and through the payments, Trump intended that nobody learned about the Stormy Daniels payoff. Let's see. Prosecutors acknowledge the jury will hear Michael Cohen, like other witnesses who will testify on trial, has made mistakes in his past. During the trial, you'll hear a lot about Michael Cohen. I suspect the defense will go to great lengths to get you to reject his testimony precisely because it's so damning. Jurors will hear about Cohen's criminal convictions for campaign finance violations, tax crimes, and lying to Congress. Jurors, the jury will also see that Cohen is publicly committed to making sure the defendant is held accountable for his role in this conspiracy. You will need to keep an open mind, careful, evaluate all the evidence that corroborates Conan's testimony. Conan's testimony will be backed up by testimony from other witnesses and an extensive paper trail, including bank records, phone logs, business documents, and other records, he added. At the end of the case, we are confident you will have no reasonable doubt that Trump is guilty of falsifying business records with the intent to conceal an illegal conspiracy to undermine the integrity of the presidential election. Really? That's a stretch if I ever heard one. Wrapped up the overstatement. Let's see. Donald Trump's attorney began his opening statement by saying President Trump is innocent. Trump did not commit any crimes. Defense attorney described his client as a larger than life, but noted he's in court to defend himself. You have seen him for years and years and years. He is in some ways larger than life, but he's also in the courtroom doing what any of us would do, defending himself. The defense attorney said that he will call President Trump, out of respect. Okay, no, he's calling him President Trump to try and make him, it's a tactic. It's a clearly a tactical thing. It's like, oh, we'll call him President Trump, and he'll seem like higher up than everyone else, and maybe people will be more, more unwilling to convict a former president. That's what he's really doing. Has earned him because he was our 45th president. He's a man, husband, a father, and a person just like you and me. That's not accurate. Let's see. Trump's attorney said the prosecutors just told what appears to be a very nice, clean story, but it's not simple as the people just described. Blanchett said that the prosecutor just told the jury is not true and that the jury will find plenty of reasonable doubt. In their opening statements, prosecutors laid out how they were going to prove their case. Although laying out their case quite methodically, remember, jurors are going to be taking notes. They now have expectations. She noted that jurors will now expect to see evidence laying out like handwritten accounts for Alan Weisenberg and receipts from Michael Cohen. They now have to match up what they introduce as admissible evidence to what this jury will do. And at the end, the prosecution will have to close their arguments or retaining that they did in fact lay out the evidence as they said they would in their opening statement. If they fall short, that's reasonable doubt. None of this was a crime, Trump's attorneys tell jury as he walks through the checks Cohen received. Defense attorney is now walking through the checks that were cut for Michael Cohen in 2017. After he became Trump's personal attorney. The 34 counts, ladies and gentlemen, are really just pieces of paper, he said. None of this was a crime. Blanche acknowledged adult film star Stormy Daniels did, in fact, sign an NDA in October 2016 in exchange for $130,000. Blanchett suggested payments to Cohen were not a payback. Trump was charged by Manhattan District Attorney last year with 34 counts of falsifying business records. The charges stem from reimbursements made to Conan for hush money payments he made before the 2016 election. The former president had pled not guilty and denied the affair. Each criminal charge Trump faced relates to a specific entry among the business records of the Trump organization, according to the indictment. Let's see. Defense attorneys ask yourself, would a frugal businessman who pinches pennies repay a $130,000 debt to a tune of $120,000? I mean, that's a pretty good argument. I mean, he would try to repay that debt as low as as little as possible. Got a point there. Let's see. Defense attorney said he expects a Trump accountant to decide trial. He said the prosecutors won't suggest that the Trump's organization account department employee who filed the Michael Cohen payments records on Trump's ledgers did anything wrong when she entered the ledger's records or cut the checks. You'll learn that Trump had nothing to do with any 34 of the 34 pieces of papers except he signed the checks. The reality is Trump is not on the hook, is not criminally responsible for something Conan may have done years after the fact. The employee isn't going to say she had conversation with President Trump. How should I book this? You won't hear any of that. Her boss, he's not going to say he talked to Trump about it. I have a spoiler. There's nothing wrong with trying to influence an election. It's called democracy. Trump's attorney said of accusations the payments were trying to elicit influence the 2016 election. Defense attorney said non-disclosure agreements are perfectly legal, following him acknowledging that that adult film star starring Daniels did sign a non-disclosure agreement in October 2016 in exchange for $130,000. Entering into a non-disclosure agreement is perfectly legal. You will learn that companies do that all the time with some regularity. Trump fought back as he always does, Blanchett added. Yeah. The only thing that non-disclosure agreements don't cover is like crimes. So if you murder someone and then the witness and you enter a non-disclosure agreement with them and stuff, that's not actually legal. So if the NDA is trying to cover up an illegal crime, that's actually not legal. Trump's attorney said Daniel's false allegations that she had an affair with Trump was sinister. It was an attempt to embarrass Trump, to embarrass his family. It's also a way to get her some more money. Let's be honest, because obviously she started making the the rounds, and she ended up making more money too. Let's see. Okay, that's just a whatever. After Trump's attorney said lawyers negotiate the NDAs and payments, judge called the lawyers to the bench. The DA office had objected and sustained in it when Blanche said that Daniel's allegations were almost an attempt to extort Trump. There's nothing illegal about entering non-negotiable agreement, period. Blanchett continued back from the bench. Merchant sustained the objections on Blanchett's comments and the Trump attorney. So sustaining is, if I remember right, that's where they agree with the objection, and then overruling means that the person's allowed to continue. Basically. Let's see. Attorneys. Oh, this is something different. That's the bond case where the DA in that case was trying to, or the prosecutor in that case was trying to get that bond removed. Defense attorney said his team will cross-examine some witnesses called by prosecutors a lot and some very little. One witness the jury will hear a lot about is Michael Cohen. Blanche said Cohen wanted a job in the administration after the 2016 election, but didn't get one. Conan is obsessed with Trump even to this day. Trump's attorney told a juror, noting Conan's podcast and public commentary. He has a goal and an obsession with getting Trump. I submit to you, he cannot be trusted. The district attorney objects to two statements about Conan lying, which hold on. Okay. Yeah. So the judge asked lawyers to approach the bench. Blanche accused Conan of perjuring himself at Trump's civil fraud trial last fall. The objection was sustained. Blanche continued. Trump's attorney told the juror that he cannot make a decision about Trump based on Conan's testimony. Conan has written several books and frequently appears in media. Blanche said his entire financial livelihood depends on Trump's destruction. You cannot make a serious decision about Trump's relying on the words of Conan, Blanche said. Trump's attorney said adult film star Daniels had made a life off of her communications, even though she publicly denied an affair in writing. Blanche added that leading up to the 2016 election, she saw her chance. Trump's attorney told the jury that Daniels owes Trump about $600,000 as a result of her failed legal attempts against Trump. She also wrote a book. She was paid for a documentary, Blanche said for Daniels, noting that the court sided with Trump in a legal dispute between the two. Blanche went on to say that Daniels has no idea about the business records at issue in this case and how they were created. Her testimony, while salacious, does not matter. He added that she has no idea what was written on the invoice, how the payments were booked, or about the checks. Trump's attorney is now talking about David Pecker. Why did it say Peckerman? I don't know. It's not a scheme unless a scheme means something that doesn't matter. That's not illegal. Blanche said the catch and kill agreement with Pecker. Blanche urged the jury to listen to Pecker's testimony over the next couple days. All right, I'll be right back, guys. I gotta deal with something. Sorry about that. My dog peed on her bed. Had to go run down and do that. Let's see. He encouraged the jurors to listen to Pecker's motivation to sell magazines when he testifies. All right. Trump's attorneys, Blanche told jurors to use common sense when assessing the case. Use your common sense. We're New Yorkers. It's not why we're here, Blanche said. Oh, it's why we're here. Blanche said, adding, we trust you to decide to evidence the case. If you do that, there will be a swift not guilty verdict. You all told us, you told the court, you told me, you will put aside whatever views you have of President Trump, the defense attorneys told the juror as he was wrapping up his opening statements. All right, so this should be almost the end of it. It's going to go through Pecker's statement. I don't think he finished, so. Okay, prosecutor walking through Pecker's background, including that he's married, his educational background, and his work as a consultant. Describe this assistant district attorney is having Decker walk through his role and other kinds of publications are produced by the company, and what kind of publication are produced by the company. David Pecker said he had the final say on the celebrity side of the magazines. We use checkbook journalism, he added, describing how the tabloids paid for stories. Pecker testifies that editors could spend up to $10,000 to investigate and publish a story, but anything more than that would have to be vetted and approved by him. Pecker says he had a final say on big celebrity stories. Prosecutor asked if Pecker had the final say on big stories. Yes, I did. Pecker also walked through editor meetings for the jury and explained how they would look at the cover of magazines. Pecker said he had two email addresses, one for general work and another for private ones for emails. I didn't want my assistants to see. He laughed a few times on the stand when he was asked to give the last 4 digits of multiple phone numbers. He confused one, but then was proud that he remembered about it. This isn't a quiz, prosecutor joked, drawing a loud laugh from Pecker. President Trump's expressionless as he looks at David Pecker. Well, that's what I need to do. Let's see. Prosecutor asked David Pecker about Howard, who was editor in chief. Dylan reported directly to me. When asked, Decker confirmed that Howard ran the network of sources for AMI. His job was to maintain and cultivate relationships with potential sources. When it came to juicy stories, did Howard run those decisions by you? Yes, he did. He said he and Howard are no longer in contact. He said it's his understanding that Howard is living in Australia and has a spinal condition that prohibits him from traveling internationally. All right, so the jurors are excused. Trump's lawyers are objecting to to Pecker's testimony about the whereabouts of Dylan Howard. Prosecutor said it's appropriate to elicit the hearsay testimony about Howard to tee up why he won't be available to testify. Earlier, he said, Pecker said, okay, so judge noted the objections and didn't address it. Right? Yeah, didn't rule. While speaking with judge, Trump's attorney addressed a few issues they expect to come up with Pecker's testimony. Trump's attorney asked for limited instructions to jury about American Media Inc., the parent company of the National Enquirer, and the non-prosecution agreement similar to Conan's. Said it needed to be modified, and Merchant asked to submit a proposal this afternoon. Anything to submit ahead of the gag order? Roger Bench. Okay, so this seems to be the extent of it. This was all just, because I'm trying to more focus on the trial and then instead of the analysis of the trial. I did read a few things from a legal analysis that CNN had. So that's what happened there. But I'm really just trying to focus on the trial itself. One, because it'd probably be helpful to keep my time when keeping my time from going crazy. So we'll work on that. But yeah, that seems to be the basics of it. Sorry, I distracted you. Anyways, so that's the end. That's all I really got for the day. Tomorrow I will be definitely watching, and we'll be going through the rest. We're not watching, but we'll go through the rest of the trial that's going on. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. It should be on time for tomorrow. I shouldn't have any issues whatsoever during the trial. I don't think so, anyways. Yeah, I think that's all I got for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Give me a follow. And yeah, I hope you have a good day. Peace out, and see you later.